Okay, good evening. I'm Gwenllian Beynon and I'm one of the trustees of the Josef Herman Art Foundation in Ystradgynlais, and I'm here this evening with Tomos Sparnon. And Tomos is going to talk to us about his role as an artist in residence for the Josef Herman Art Foundation. That's a project that the foundation has been doing for quite a number of years and is an important part of the Josef Herman Art Foundation job. This is the English version of the talk. There was a Welsh version earlier on, so os chi wedi colli'r un Cymraeg a mae'n gwrando ar y sgwrs anhygoel o Tomos wedi wneud yn y Gymraeg, felly mae hwnna ar gael ar Facebook ar y foment a bydd ar gael hefyd ar YouTube yn fuan. So this is the English version. The Welsh version will be available on our social media and also on YouTube. So this talk this evening is part of the heritage project that the Herman Foundation is currently working on. And we're working on creating some Herman trails, which will actually be physical trails, which people can walk around the places that were important to Herman or places that were important at the time when Josef Herman lived in Ystradgynlais in the 1940s and 1950s for about 11 years. It's funded by the Heritage Fund, also by Cadw and Llywodraeth, the Welsh Government, so that funds the project as well. If you've got any questions that you'd like to ask this evening, there is a Q&A box that will pop up somewhere, and also a chat box as well, and we'll monitor that for questions at the end. So, like I said, I'm here this evening with Tomos Sparnon, and graduated from Swansea College of Art, and then became an artist in residence at Swansea College of Art for a year. And then during that period, he also worked as one of the Josef Herman artists in residence as well. And this is what he's going to talk about with us this evening. So the trail that he's going to focus on is drawn quite scrappily here, and basically the trail that we take the children on when they visit the welfare in Ystradgynlais, where there's an archive of Josef Herman's work, is the trail starts in the welfare. It goes round and then up onto a hill here where we can look over the valley and see some of the aspects within the valley that Herman was really interested in his drawings and paintings. We then cross the river, across the Teddy Bear Bridge here, and we can see both bridges here, and Tomos will look at them a little bit later on. And then we come down Hale Gearth, past the Pentagon Inn, the pub, then the chapel more or less next door to the Pentagon Inn, and then we round back. So this is part of the Artists in Residence School project that the Herman Foundation, that's really important for the Herman Foundation, and was also really important to Josef Herman's family as well, in giving the artwork to the archive that we have there now in the welfare in Ystradgynlais. So Tomos, if you'd like to join me, that would be great. And so I'm here now with Tomos Sparnon. So Tomos, so I'd just like to welcome you this evening to the talk here at on the webinar, and also we're going out on Facebook Live as well. And so croeso, Tomos.
Oh, diolch yn fawr I chi.
Popeth yn iawn, na fe.
Good evening, everyone.
Na fe, okay. Good. So it's over to you then, Tomos. So if you'd like to share your screen and do your talk, and also then, please ask some questions if you've got any questions. And yeah.
Diolch Gwenllian. Noswaith da bawb. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this talk, which is on Josef Herman and his heritage. I'm just sharing the screen now, and hopefully you can see the slideshow in front of you. My name is Tomos Sparnon. I'm an artist, and as Gwenllian said, I graduated from Swansea College of Art in 2018. And after graduating, I worked as an artist in residence at Swansea College of Art. As part of this position, I was given the opportunity of running art workshops for pupils from Ysgol Gymraeg Ystadlais Bro Dir and Ysgol Gymraeg Bryn Tawe in association with the Josef Herman Foundation. It was a wonderful experience, and I had a great time working with the pupils. Before I continue with that subject, however, I'll just say a few words about Josef Herman and the work of the foundation in case some of you need some background information. Josef Herman was a Polish artist who left Eastern Europe to escape persecution during the Second World War. Like so many people at that time, he lost his family in the Holocaust. After moving to Britain, he lived for 11 years in Ystradgynlais. The area became very important to him, and Herman became important to the area too, with the people of Ystradgynlais affectionately referring to him as Joe Bach. The Welsh mining community at Ystradgynlais was a regular subject in his paintings. And here's a photograph of Josef Herman, taken by the photographer Bernard Mitchell. The Josef Herman Foundation was established in the Welfare Hall in Ystradgynlais in 2002, 2 years after Herman's death. It houses a collection of original paintings, drawings and prints by him. The organisation aims to promote an appreciation of the life and work of the artist and raise a wider awareness of the arts and of human rights. This is done through school projects, exhibitions, lectures and events. An annual prize is also given in Josef Herman's name at the National Eisteddfod of Wales. Back to the workshops then. As part of these, the pupils were taken on a walk by Sandra Morgan, one of the trustees of the foundation, and myself through Ystradgynlais, and in particular to locations that were of importance to Herman and his work. The walk is used to inspire pupils to think about Herman's work, what Ystradgynlais meant to him, and how he responded to the landscape and to the buildings there. In the way that I, as an artist, look back at the history of art for inspiration, my aim on this walk was to inspire the pupils to respond to what they saw and heard. The Josef Herman Foundation gave the historical context, and my role was to develop the creative process. Here's a photograph of myself and the pupils from Ysgol Gymraeg Bryn Tawe, standing in front of the Pentagon Inn, and I'll talk about that in a minute. As we walked, I encouraged pupils to work in their sketchbooks, documenting what they saw, heard and felt using a pencil. We stopped to look at various things that are of importance to Josef Herman's work and life in the area. These included the Pentagon Inn, where Josef Herman lived and worked. So as you saw in the photograph there, that's the Pentagon Inn, and Josef Herman lived and worked in that building for several years. And we also stood on the Teddy Bear Bridge, where he used to see the miners coming home from work, and this inspired his work tremendously. After seeing miners walking across the Teddy Bear Bridge, which you can see in the photograph on the screen now, where the mouse is moving, and so it was important to stop and look at this bridge and take in the inspiration that that location had on Josef Herman's work, and I tried to convey that, transfer that inspiration to the pupils' work. We also walked up a hill not far from the bridge to look at the landscape of Ystradgynlais, which Herman loved and painted, and discussed how the pylons in the landscape appear frequently in his paintings of the area. The pupils undertook drawing exercises in these locations, for example, drawing the landscape in about 10 seconds, and drawing the Pentagon Inn without looking at the paper. And the purpose of these exercises was to develop the pupils' hand-to-eye coordination skills and to encourage them to be less precious when drawing and to be more expressive with their mark making. Here are some examples of the pupils' drawings made whilst outside. and I was very impressed by the way the pupils handled the pencil, their use of mark making, how they responded to what they saw in front of them. They responded in an expressive and experimental way, and it was a joy to be amongst them whilst they were drawing, and you can see how exciting these drawings are in the images on the screen now. We spent most of our time standing outside and looking at Sardis Chapel, which is a few buildings up from the Pentagon Inn. We spent about 20 minutes looking at the chapel's architecture and discussing its relationship to Hermann. As he lived a few buildings down from the chapel, Hermann would no doubt have seen people walking back and forth to the chapel and hearing the congregational singing. We know that Hermann was moved by Welsh singing. As he stated in his diary, "In the white of the evening, in the lightened hills, young men and young women sing into space, those splendid Welsh voices and their primitive veracity. The wind knows make sadness so appealing." He also painted people singing, and most probably would have heard miners singing on their way to the coal pits. Here's an example of one of these. I love this sketch. I love how Hermann captured the passion in their singing. They are singing with their hearts here, and they are lost in the singing, especially the singer in the middle. They look like men who would start the singing at the side of a grave in a Welsh cemetery during a funeral. I imagine that the chapel's community and brotherly atmosphere would have fascinated and perhaps touched Hermann too. As the pupils looked at the chapel, they were encouraged to imagine the life and excitement in Sardis Chapel at that time, something that is difficult for the young people of today to envisage, I'd imagine. When the pupils were drawing the chapel, I not only wanted them to draw the building and its present state, but to consider it in its day gone by and the energy and life that would have been in it. I wanted them to record what they saw with their eyes, but to use their imagination too. I tried to get the pupils to think about the life that was in these locations in Ystradgynlais, the events, conversations, ideas, etc. that took place during Hermann's time there. After the walk, we made our way back to the welfare hall where the walk began. We discussed what we saw when we were walking through Ystradgynlais, and the pupils were given the task of creating paintings and drawings in response to this. The sketches made in their sketchbooks then were used as a reference for the work. So in the photographs you see on the screen now, you can see myself with the pupils in the welfare hall during the workshop, and I'm explaining Josef Herman's work, what was unique about his artwork, and I tried to express the importance and the influence of his work to the pupils, and hopefully then that was evident in the work they created. And here are some examples of the work created by the pupils, and you will see how creative and varied the results are. Even though Josef Herman's colour palette consisted of earthy colours, and these the colours in the pupils' drawings are brighter perhaps, and in my opinion this is wonderful as it expresses Ystradgynlais now, the contemporary Ystradgynlais, as it's obviously changed from since Hermann was lived and worked in Ystradgynlais, but even though the colour palette is different, there's certainly the influence of Hermann's work in the drawings, in the mark making, for example, how the pupils worked in quite a fast and vigorous way, and the detail as well that is put into some of the images in the pictures is wonderful. So after the pupils created pieces in response to the walk itself, I gave them the task of creating paintings of landscapes inspired by Hermann's ink drawings of landscapes. We discussed the main features and characteristics of Hermann's drawings. For example, his use of black, his dark and powerful mark making, and the way he omitted details from his compositions. There's a suggestion of a building, a suggestion of a figure, which allows freedom for the viewer to add the details in his or her head and complete the image. And here are some examples of Hermann's drawings of Ystradgynlais. And as an artist, I love these drawings as they're so expressive, and I see them, they convey to me how Josef Herman, through these drawings, was trying to understand and come to a better relationship in a way to with Ystradgynlais, through coming to understand Ystradgynlais through the process of drawing, if that makes sense. After discussing Hermann's landscapes, the pupils went outside to gain ideas for their paintings of landscapes. They looked at different buildings, roads, cars, and trees for inspiration. Using ink and paint and objects collected by them outdoors, the pupils created their paintings on cardboard. And you can see in the photographs here the pupils at work, and you can see how the pupils used the drawings they created in their sketchbooks during the walk as inspiration and as reference. And using cardboard as the surface to paint on gave the paintings a sculptural element. The pupils worked exceptionally well. They worked experimentally, expressively, and with detail, and seeing the pupils' work evolve and their confidence grow as the day progressed was a great feeling. And here are the pupils' work. And not only were the works wonderful individually, but as a collection, they worked beautifully as well together. And it was lovely to see how each pupil's voice and style came through in their drawings. And you can see the inspiration of Hermann's work in not only the pupils' use of bold black lines, but how the way they've painted the buildings as well, with in almost a simple way, and the trees, there's a suggestion of a tree, and it was wonderful to see these drawings come to life. Another part of the workshops was to create portraits inspired by elements of Hermann's portraits. In a similar way to his landscapes, detail is not the main feature of his portraits. Instead, he attempted to capture the spirit and character of the figure through sensitive and expressive use of paint. In my opinion, Hermann's paintings and drawings of people are very physical, and I wanted the pupils to consider this when creating portraits of each other. And these are some the outcomes, and I was impressed by the way the pupils challenged themselves and took risks when creating these portraits. The portraits have energy and movement in them. It was wonderful to see as well how the pupils were willing to take risks whilst creating these portraits. Maybe they hadn't created portraits in this way before, through rubbing out and layering and rubbing out, destroying the work in a way and rebuilding it. But the pupils were very professional, and the outcomes, in my opinion, speak for themselves. And the work created by the pupils as part of the Josef Herman Schools project was exhibited in the Welfare Hall in Ystradgynlais, and it was great to see the pupils' excitement at seeing their work on display. Following the exhibition, the art pupils from Ysgol Gymraeg Ystradgynlais Bro Dir were given the opportunity to create a mural in the village of present and future of the village. I was invited as an artist to work with the pupils and guide them through the project alongside Arwel Micah, one of the art teachers at the school. Because the invitation came after the Josef Herman workshops, this felt like a development of what had started by the pupils in Ystradgynlais. Although the brief was to respond to Ystradgynlais, it is clear that the work of Josef Herman and what they had learned at Ystradgynlais influenced the pupils, their ideas and how they painted. Again, I cannot praise the pupils enough. I was blown away by their maturity, patience and creativity. They worked as a team, and it was a privilege to be a part of the project. Here are images of the preparation prior to working on the mural, of the pupils at work. You can see them at work here, working on the wall, and they all worked individually on different parts of the mural. So it was a team effort, and each pupil had to be aware of the other pupils' movement to make sure that the whole image and composition worked well, well as one image. And here are images of the final outcome, and you can certainly see the influence of Josef Herman's work in how the pupils painted miners, how they painted buildings, chapels, mountains, the landscape, and it was a pleasure being a part of this project and seeing this masterpiece in a way. And here's an image of us all feeling proud after completing the mural. And the mural can still be seen in Ystradgynlais in the underpass opposite Ystradgynlais Rugby Club. And I'd recommend anyone to go and see the pupils' fantastic work there. The workshop in Ystradgynlais and the mural in Ystradgynlais show the effect and impact the work of Josef Herman and the work of the foundation continue to have, and that's wonderful. And I'm going to end by referring to another influence, a personal one. The work of Josef Herman and the foundation influenced me back in 2009 when I was 12 years old, before I'd even heard of Josef Herman. In the summer of that year, I visited Singleton Hospital to visit my grandmother, and I saw an art exhibition in the foyer. I remember being struck by the exhibition of screen prints, and in particular, a screen print of a chapel. And as a result of this, I made a painting in response to the chapel. And it still hangs on the wall in the dining room at home. So I was 12 years old when I created this painting. This is the point. The exhibition in the hospital was part of a school's project arranged by the Josef Herman Foundation. And that's a wonderful example of how the work of the foundation influenced a young boy, and how Josef Herman and his heritage and legacy continue. Thank you very much for listening. Diolch yn fawr am wrando.
Oh, diolch I ti, Tomos. Oedd hwnna'n really ddiddorol. Sorry, I'm so used to speaking Welsh to Tomos. I knew that would happen. So thank you very, very much, Tomos. That was a really, really interesting talk. And, you know, it's great to see your experience as an artist in residence, and also, you know, the amazing work that the pupils did in your project, but also as well, you know, how it affected you as a young boy as well. Did you also visit the Herman Foundation as a child or with the school? What did you? Yes,
I did. I remember visiting the Josef Herman Foundation in Ystradgynlais when I was about 12 years old, actually, with my family, to see an exhibition of Josef Herman's work. And I can still remember the well, how inspired I felt after seeing Josef Herman's work, and how excited I was to see Josef Herman's work in the flesh. It certainly had an influence on my artwork at a later stage, even though perhaps I wasn't aware of that at the time. Yes. Yeah, no, it's interesting. So it just shows how important something like the school's project is, and having a young artist or even a mature artist working with the pupils. And I don't know if anybody's got any questions. If you want to ask a question in the Q&A, please do so. It'd be great if there is anything else. Yeah, so thank you very much, Tomos. It was really interesting to see those things, and the legacy that Herman has on pupils and on yourself as well, and then the development of that into a mural on the wall there in the underpass in Ystradgynlais. Ystradgynlais School is one of the schools, evidently is quite close to the Herman Foundation, and then is involved quite often in the school's project. Ystradgynlais School is called Brodir now, isn't it? Ystradgynlais Brodir. So there's no question coming. Okay, so just to say thank you very much then, and also just to remind the viewers that this is part of our Heritage Trail Talks, funded by the Heritage Lottery. The Heritage Trails will be available on our website, and also there will be an app, but also there will be physical walks as well. And we'll also have a kind of information board about the heritage walks, and they'll be launched in July. So keep an eye out on social media, you know, and that information will be advertised pretty soon. I think it's around about the 9th of July, but keep an eye on, you know, those, that information is yet to be announced properly. Also as well, the Welsh version, like I said at the beginning, is also available as well. So, you know, we didn't want to do a bilingual talk, we did a Welsh and an English talk, so they're both available separately. So os chi moyn gweld yr un Cymraeg, mae fe ar gael ar wahân. So, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd am gwylio, a diolch I ti, Tomos, o fi'n gallu gweld, there's a question come in now. Thank you, Tomos, for a great talk and for showing us the outcomes. Given that you are from Neath, has Will Roberts, who had contact with him, and been an inspiration for you? Oh, yes, he has. There are drawings by Will Roberts in the church in Neath, and I was there not long ago actually, and I went to see those drawings by Will Roberts, and in my opinion, his drawings have a similarity to Josef Herman's drawings in the way the two portrayed the human figure by, for example, emphasizing the hands and maybe leaving out details and, well, the physicality of the figures in the drawings. And Will Roberts has certainly had an influence on my work, and I actually have a postcard of a painting by Will Roberts on the wall in my studio, and I look at it often for inspiration for my artwork.
So if viewers don't know, yeah, good. Thanks, Kerry. So that was a question from Kerry there. So if viewers don't know the work of Will Roberts, then Google it, or do any search engines, and you'll come across his work. A very important artist for the region. And then we've got an anonymous attendee saying, "Great presentation, Thomas. Diolch yn fawr." So that's fantastic. So I take it that's it then. So diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for viewers for watching now, and also when you're watching in the future on YouTube or wherever you come across this, again on Facebook. We never know these days. Out there, it's out there, isn't it? So diolch yn fawr iawn, thank you very much, and noswaith dda.